Good morning, student. Let's start today's class. Today we will discuss about DC power supply system. Okay. In From previous classes we have known that how we can get DC power from AC using rectifier, then using filter. Okay. So now see what is DC power supply system. The whole system is how the whole system is worked. Okay. All the active electronics device require a source of constant DC that can be supplied by a battery or a DC power supply. Okay. In our daily life, many devices or components use DC, and they need the DC, or they get the DC from battery or from DC power supply system. Okay. The DC power supply converts a standard AC voltage available at wall outlet into a constant DC voltage. That means this DC power supply system converts the AC from our home, okay, to DC, okay, or constant voltage DC. Okay. Then the DC power supply is one of the most common circuit we will find. So it is important to understand how it works. Now see, this is the block diagram of DC power supply system. Okay. First of all, input AC input voltage. This is our AC input which is present in our home. Okay. Then we plugged the uh, the DC power system. Okay. DC supply power system, and first stage is transformer. Okay. And this transformer, what work this transformer does? This transformer does the step down or step up function. That means the transformer, the transformer can step up the voltage of input signal to a higher level of voltage, or step down the voltage of the input signal to a lower level of voltage. In generally, the uh, transformer does step down uh, function. Okay. Because for DC we want less voltage. Okay. Or DC work we want less voltage. Okay. And also transformer doing another work, which is isolating the rest amount of circuit, or the rest amount of DC circuit from the high voltage AC. Okay. It also act as a isolator. Okay. So after step down we get our low voltage AC. Okay. Then we use rectifier. Here we may use half wave rectifier or full wave rectifier as we need, and we get our uh, pulsating DC. Okay. After a rectifier we get our pulsating DC, and that pulsating DC is fed to filter, and this filter mm, can maybe from maybe one type of from the three filters, which is capacitor filter or choke filter or capacitor input filter or pi filter. From these three filter, this filter may be any one. Okay. So after filter smooth DC, we get smooth DC or filter voltage, nearly smooth, not all smooth, nearly smooth. Okay. Then we use a circuit which is called regulator. Okay. This regulator circuit, what does this regulator? That it constant, or it maintain a constant voltage level of that filtered voltage. That means if there is some variation, or the some uh, pulsation in the filtration DC, that pulsation or variation is removed by this regulator. Okay. And make that make that small pulsating DC to constant DC, and that constant DC is fed to our load. Okay, this is the process of our DC power system, or this is the block diagram and working function of the DC power system. Okay, then come to that uh, transistor configuration. In in previously we have studied about transistor, okay, which is BJT, bipolar junction transistor. Okay, that bipolar junction transistor have, you know, three terminals. One is emitter, one is base, one is collector. Okay, then when we use the transistor, we need four terminals in a circuit. That means when we use, we know transistor, this is the symbol of transistor. Okay, this is a collector, this is emitter, this is base. Okay, and the arrow sign denotes whether it is NPN transistor or PNP transistor. Okay, so you see, the transistor have a three terminal, one, two, three. But when we use it in the circuit, then we need four terminals. That means two terminals for input and two terminals for output. Okay, so we need total four terminal. So how we can get from three terminal to four terminals? Let's see. Okay, we can get three terminal to four terminal by getting, or uh, by making one terminal common for both output and input. That means let's say this three terminal. Okay, this is our three terminal, okay, of transistor. So we, let's say we common, or making common of this terminal for both input and output. So the input is this terminal and this common terminal. Okay, and output is this terminal and that common terminal. Okay, so we can get four terminal, or we get four terminal from the that three terminal. So this is the process of connection. Okay, the input is fed between this common terminal and one of the other two terminals, and the output is obtained between the common terminal and the remaining terminals. Okay, and according to the transistor can be configured in the circuit in the following three ways, which is common base configuration, common emitter configuration, or common collector configuration. Common base configuration means the base is common for both input and output circuit. Okay, and common emitter means the emitter terminal is common for both input and output circuit. Okay, and common collector configuration means the collector terminal is common for both input and output. And now, in the coming classes, we have discussed these three techniques, how these three techniques works, and how these three techniques connection are there. Okay, so thank you. That's all.